rarely talk about. Today, we have an awesome guest. We're going to continue our conversation on grief. We, we have Daniel here, who we've met through Instagram, and he's a men's bereavement coach. Am I right?
You are correct. I run
Among other things, of course.
yeah, yeah. I run an organization out in New Jersey called Bro Bereavement, and yeah, we'll touch on it. Yeah, yep.
Awesome. So we'll dive right into it. How are you really, Daniel? How are you really?
How am I really? I
Yeah.
am feeling the pressure. Holidays are approaching. Um, I'm running this organization where men are looking at me to be a leader. Um, my kids are looking at me to be a father. My wife is looking at me to be a husband, and there's a lot of pressure involved in that. So I'm doing my best, but just being a man is not easy. You know, being able to provide for everyone, everyone looking to you to to forge the way forward. It's definitely not easy. So the pressure is on, and I'm just doing my best at this moment. How about you, Steve? How are
Ooh.
you really?
Ooh. I am a little tired. Today is podcast recording number 4 for me. Uh, I have another podcast, an alcohol recovery podcast, an alcohol addiction recovery podcast, and we recorded 3 episodes today. They were all great episodes. Recording podcast episodes, generally speaking, fill my cup, and all of those did. They all went really well, so I'm super excited for that. But it's podcast number 4, and um, it's just been it's a long day sitting at a computer chair. So other than that, I'm doing all right. I'm doing fairly well overall. I think I'm looking forward to just sitting back and chilling and turning my brain off a little bit with school. And this is Thanksgiving week break with school, so I've got work next week, but I don't have school next week. So there's a little bit of a break coming up, and I want to take a little bit of advantage of that to relax a little bit. It's been a long semester, an intense semester, and these next couple of weeks are gonna flip from school into the Christmas break. But I hear and feel the pressure that you're talking about with school being so intense in finals right now. It's not there quite yet, but I can feel it in the background because when that stuff is done, that becomes forefront. So definitely hear you there. Definitely hear you there. Thank you for asking, Daniel.
Of course.
Robbie, how are you really, my friend?
I am been sitting behind this computer most of the day too, editing, and I had a podcast earlier today too, about 2 hours ago. Went for a run. Didn't feel great on the run, but I got it done. So can't all be I'll be unicorns and rainbows every day. But uh, I sense a theme here with the pressure. I'm feeling that pressure too, as Daniel talked about with my daughter's situation uh, and Christmas and Thanksgiving coming up. I'm going to be the sole parent, the crutch, and it's going to put a lot on my plate. There's going to be, uh, on her part, some sadness we're going to have to get through, and I understand that. We're going to do the best we can, but the pressure is definitely there. Pressure right now is tomorrow I leave to head to Utah. I got to do work, so I've not done all the stuff I needed to do today, but we'll do it in the morning. Uh, my daughter has been gone all day, hanging out with her boyfriend, getting in the last bit before we leave. So she's going to be rushed tomorrow too. But I'm in a good place today. As you mentioned, Steve, podcast fills our cup. This one's going to fill the cup even more. It's already full, so it's gonna overflow. But I'm really excited to talk with Daniel about grief in the holidays. I don't think this gets talked about enough. When I heard the topic, I'm like, oh, that's a good one, because we'll get into it. But, I think men hold a lot. And depending on your situation, uh, if you're the sole, breadwinner in the family, all your money is getting poured into the holidays at that point. And it can be a source of stress, anxiety, sadness, loneliness. Then we go the other way, where if you don't have anyone to spend that time with, uh, that whole loneliness part there, and we know the loneliness epidemic that's going on in the world right now. So I'm grateful that Daniel's here and we get to talk about this.
Nice. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you guys for inviting me onto the podcast. Your last guest, Justin, I had a conversation with him, and he told me about you guys, and I'm just honored to be on your platform, able to speak to the guys out there and speak about some of the work that I've been doing. So once again, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Dive right into it, man. Dive right into it.
Yeah. So my journey began, let's say 26 years ago. I was 19 years old. Um, Met this young lady, someone that I knew. We grew up together, but began dating her, and we fell in love. Um, we were both living in the Bronx, or in the New York City area. So we fell in love. Um, Began taking care of her cousin. So the cousin was a newborn baby, and her parents, whatever things happen in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
She got pregnant, um, and before you knew it, in a snap of a finger, we were raising two kids. At the age of 19, 20, we had two kids. My wife, or Medina, she after giving birth, she began having medical problems. She had a blood clotting disorder. So for the next 10 years, she was in and out of the hospital with different ailments, heart attacks, strokes, and they just couldn't figure out what was going on with her. So our life began to be stop and go. Like we one moment everything would be fine. We were having dinner, and the next moment she's like, I don't feel well. Take me to the hospital. And then that would turn into a month-long stay at the hospital, where they had to do a surgery to kind of pluck out a blood clot. And at 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, you're going through that, like, what the heck? And it began to be a lot. My kids, they grew up with not knowing if mom was going to be home when they went to school, if she was going to be there. You know what I mean? So the anxiety at a young age began to build for them. 10 years into our relationship, Medina passed away. Her disease began to just take over her body. She couldn't go 2 or 3 months without there being some sort of ailment that popped up. Eventually, she had her legs amputated. So there was just a lot of trauma, a lot of sadness, pain just going on. And after she passed, we were left with that grief. My kids were 10 and 11 years old at the time, and I was 29. So I grew up really fast. From 19 to 29, I became a man. Well
In a
beyond
hurry.
in a hurry, well beyond my age. And after she passed, just trying to help my kids with their grief that I knew what was there, and dealing with my own grief. just became a lot. I looked for different mentors and groups to kind of be a part of, but really couldn't find a group or a mentor that kind of reflected who I was. I was born and raised in the Bronx. I was a young man, hip hop was my thing. So, and the people I was meeting, all great people, but older men, um, people who didn't come from my culture, didn't come from where I was. So I
You had a
just didn't
hard
think
hard time relating to them.
exactly. They couldn't relate. I couldn't relate to them. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna smoke, I'm gonna womanize, I'm gonna gamble, I'm gonna do anything possible to just numb myself and you know, hopefully it'll go away.
Doesn't go
And
away, does it?
no, it only
Mm-hmm.
it only
Can
gains
make it
strength,
worse.
bigger. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So just living through the next 10 years, it was just ups and downs, you know, putting myself to sleep with alcohol and marijuana, waking up in the morning, going to work, and just
Dragging
living in that
ass.
cycle. Yeah.
Dragging
Living in
ass.
yeah. Living in that cycle where it just became like the hamster wheel, just numb and just not feeling anything and just doing anything possible to kind of just make myself feel better. And around the holidays, and this is like for 10 years straight, around the holidays, was always at war with my kids,
Mm.
just butting heads over the smallest things, arguing, and just I wasn't a happy person. I didn't know what happiness was. Um, so everyone needed to get out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
um, until just one day I saw myself, going to war with my kids and just the people who were closest to me. And I was like, life is better than this. Medina, who was my wife who passed, she wouldn't have wanted me to live this way. So I put everything down and began this journey of healing. Um, I began journaling. It's funny. I was in an Uber just telling my story, just things that have happened in my life. And the young lady um was like, you know what? Maybe if you write some of this stuff down, you could probably help someone just with your story. You seem like you're in a good place. And I'm like, that's not gonna work. But I did it. I found
Yeah.
some time and just started putting stuff down on paper, putting stuff in my phone. And this was around the pandemic time, 2021, 2022. So we all had like our group chats where we had all of our friends, and I had a chat with about 12, 13 of my closest friends, guys I've known since junior high school, and decided to be brave one day and just share it. um there was one guy on that chat that was like, Dan, this is good, keep on writing, this is good, keep on going. So that kind of gave me the confidence and just to say, all right, I'm not alone with what I'm putting on paper. Let me keep on going. So kept on writing and sharing it with family, friends, and I shared it with a young lady who was Medina's best friend, and she was like, you know what, turn this into a nonprofit. And I'm like, you think? She's like, yeah. I'm like, how do you do that? She's like, my brother is a lawyer. This is what he does. He helps create nonprofits. I'm gonna have him call you tomorrow. And just like that, got the ball rolling. And 2 years later, I'm still on my healing journey, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a bunch of guys. I've created a community of guys who come together and we do different events and we teach each other how to healthy coping skills. So we
Mm-hmm.
do like meditation classes, art classes, cooking classes. We this last weekend we went on a paintballing trip.
Oh, that must have
Um,
been a blast.
oh, it was. That was my first time going. It was really fun. We do fishing, just all of these healthy activities outside, just doing things, and behind all of that, we have conversations about grief and loss. So so just being, the head of that group is it's allowed me to heal, just being able to stand in front of the guys and speak my pain, and them to look back at me and say, listen, we know where you're coming from, it's healed me. So yeah.
With with these guys, how did you? I want to get into like the nonprofit part. Like how did you find them? How did they find you? And how did you like start to put stuff into motion? Because this is, I have to imagine it was very uncomfortable because you're opening yourself up to all these guys you don't know. They have the same. We all have situations, but you're like, I'm opening myself up. Come meet me with me, and we'll deal with our shit together. How did you go about that? I'm very interested in that part.
So the very first class that we had, it was actually a fishing trip that we did. So I prepared it. I reached out to the fishing charter, invited all of my friends. They came willingly, not knowing what was going on. I had spoken to them about what I was trying to do. So when we get on the boat, um, I was scared. I didn't know how to even start the conversation. Even though they had known what I was doing, like I didn't know how to. All right, guys, come on, let's huddle up and start talking. So that first trip of just bringing the guys together, it was to me just planting the seed, like just seeing um if I could, number one, just bring guys together, and do something healthy. Usually when guys come together, it's mostly drinking, or at least the group that I was in, it was all drinking, and it was nothing healthy about it. So
Yeah.
just trying to introduce the guys to something healthy. Yes, there was beers on the boat, okay, but it kind of opened my eyes to say, all right, this is possible. So
Yep.
the very next class that we did was a meditation class, and I was like, all right, guys, let's do something a little bit more different. So a Sunday morning, it was week 1 of the NFL season. I was like, listen, before we hit up the bar or whatever, let's do a meditation class. So the guys are like, for real? I'm like, all right,
I was like, I'm thinking, how are you getting them to buy into that one?
so they popped in, they all came, and we did a meditation, um and it was powerful, just to be able to just sit and just be still and quiet. There was a couple guys who fell asleep, but that's okay. um
Mhm.
but you know at at the end of the class, I kind of shared what I was trying to do, and the guys were like, okay, all right. But I haven't seen a lot of the guys since then. it's it's weird, but that kind of opened me up, and it was like, all right, this thing is possible. Let's see where it goes. And like, the doors have just been opening. I've been meeting people, and there are guys out there who are looking to heal. There are
Mhm.
guys out there that are looking just for a space where they can be recognized by other men, and just to be able to sit around at other men with no pressure, and it's sort of like, just shooting the shit. I don't know if I could curse or not, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
all,
Yeah.
all you want.
Yeah. So definitely not easy to get guys in the same room at the same time. But I shot my shot, and slowly all the people who are showing up, they've been the ones who were supposed to show up.
Mhm. You you're you're right about there. There are a bunch of guys. So there's a bunch of men out there that want to heal, and that want to find themselves again. Because I think there's a whole shit ton of us that feel lost. right? Like we can get so buried in the pressure you talked about. You got so buried in the pressure, in the loss, in the pain, in all of that, that instead of doing something about it and finding community and finding other people to talk to and deal with it, writing it down, uh, you lose your way. Because I can imagine, I mean, I know I've lost my way and I'm working to find my way again. I know Robbie's in the same boat. Part of the reason why we started this podcast was because both of us had lost our way. And we thought, what if you could create a space for the versions of us that didn't quite lose their way yet? But you wanted the help. You wanted that thing to help you. Like you said, you're looking for mentors, looking for someone to connect with. You wanted that thing that gave you permission to essentially feel the damn shit. And I mean, I've found it. Robbie's found it. You've clearly found it. And now, like, the one thing I already can tell we have in common is we want better for our fellow man. And you're doing something with the pain that you had so we can share this with others. Even if we bond through our pain, we're going to find a solution because of it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm meeting a ton of guys who have been through very tough times, some of the hardest things you could go through ever. And when I talk to them, you know, my first question is, how do you feel? Just like your first question, how do you feel? And they're like, feel? What are you talking about, feel?
Yeah. Nobody asked me that shit. No one cares either.
Yeah. I'm like, yo, you're a human being. You're allowed to feel. Yeah. Like, yeah, how do you feel? And it's like, get out of here. I gotta go to work.
It's very interesting when you you get to this place and you can ask someone how they feel and they can tell you how they feel. Sometimes it takes a few times. That's why we opened that with this podcast, because we think it's very important. Because as you said, it's just in passing, right? Oh, I got to go to work. No man asked me how I feel. How am I really doing? If it is, they just want, you know, something quick. Oh, I'm good. I don't think I've ever met a person that everything's good all the time. We know that. Especially with your situation, you know, 20 years of, I can imagine what you went through. I can imagine what your kids went through, and you know the healing process. And I beat this to death. Like, there's no magic pill. We're not going to get fully better. This is a journey for the rest of our life. And I always push that because that is motivating to me to continue on this journey. We get little hints of, little glimpse of joy, or, you know, a light bulb moment. And it's like, oh, there is another side to this. And I found with talking with, you know, all these different men on this podcast that every time someone brings something different and I take so much from it, and it's so, I get joy from it. It just makes me happy. And, you know, I could imagine you having, you know, sitting down with these guys, just in the area of the nation you're in. It's probably pretty tough to get these guys to open up. Like, lots of bad stuff happens all over, but like when you get them in there and you give them the space, what's the reaction? And like, moving forward, how does that look?
Good question. So we've had experiences where, for example, we had a cooking class. Father's Day weekend, we have a cooking class. We got a bunch of guys in, about 30 guys.
30 guys? That's awesome.
Yeah, halfway through the class, you know, this is when we usually go into what Bro Reevman is about and start the conversation. And some of the guys, you can kind of see the light bulb go off, and they're like, "Oh wow, um, this is why she invited me. This is why she told me to go to the class." A lot of the guys come to the class not knowing what they're going into. You know, they go for a cooking class. Their wife invites them. Their mother, their sister tells them to go, and then halfway through, when we start talking, the light bulb goes off. So I kind of went off right there. What was the question again?
What's like you're going in the right direction. Like, the how do you get these guys to? You talked about the light bulb. Then what after they see the light bulb? What's the next step? Like, how do you see this moving forward with these group of guys?
So
I know everyone's different.
We usually throw out a question,
Okay.
with the group, and once someone responds, like the conversation is usually easy. We usually go overtime at the space that we rent out, because the conversation is easy. Everyone in the room respects each other, because the whole hour before, when we're cooking, we're talking about football, sports, joking around, just building the camaraderie. So once the hard conversation comes up, it's easy. Everything just flows. We go around the room, everyone shares. We 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 throw out just easy questions and just check-ins. We have something called PEM, where you kind of rate yourself. P for physical, E for emotional, M for mental. Like, where do you rate yourself? So a lot of the guys have never even heard of this, of like even checking in with yourself. So
Mhm.
it's just a powerful space. I would love to have you guys come in. I'm not sure what part of the country. I think you guys are on the West Coast. So
Yeah, we are.
but yeah, just being able to have this space for the guys. The conversations are easy because there's nothing for guys.
It's
So yeah. So when the guys come in, they're like, "Wow, we didn't even know this existed." Like, keep it going. Yeah.
I love that you do something that that they can do together, that
Mhm.
breaks the ice, that takes care of all the small talk, that creates a little bit of connection, where and then you're doing something together, and that it helps so much when you get to the important parts, the nitty gritty. You've already shared something, you've already shared doing a piece. Like, I know what you mean when it comes to just sitting down and talking. Once you break the ice and you start getting into sharing parts of life together,
Mhm.
then all it takes is one guy to start being honest. And then I don't know if this is what you've noticed, and I think you said it really, but one guy starts getting honest and starts getting real, and then another guy gets honest and real, and then another one gets honest and real, and then you get kind of this
Mhm.
snowball effect where, and especially if
Mhm.
you have a bunch of guys that are willing to lift each other up,
Mhm.
and like, if you want good for each other, and that just the wanting the good for each other helps you want to be a better man alone. Like, it doesn't take much. That's the thing, right? Like,
Yep.
you're probably like us. It doesn't take much for you to be willing to suffer more than what you're willing to receive, right? Like, that's okay. I'm fine with that. It doesn't take much, but you got to get a little bit.
Yeah. And what I've seen with the group, I met this young man. One day I was listening to the radio, and the young man called up and he shared that he lost his son, and he threw out his social media stuff, and I reached out to him and was like, "Listen, this is what we're doing in New Jersey. You're more than welcome to pull up on us." And he I don't know if you know the distance between Long Island, New York, and New Jersey. It's about 2 hour drive. He drove to the
He
event,
drove it.
drove all the way, and he's like a staple at our events. And just seeing what we were doing with Bereavement inspired him to start his own nonprofit, and he's spreading the word about suicide prevention. And and we have so many like little groups that are born through what we're doing with Bereavement. Like everyone is branching out, doing their own things, and it just, that's what brings me joy now. I found my purpose. Like I've gone through pain, and just coming out the other end, this is what's healing me.
I love that you just said that, because excuse me, a lot of times we listen to podcasts or people we think that are mentors, and they all say find a purpose. And I searched for a purpose for many, many, many years and never could find a purpose or a mission. Like it was always ego driven. That's what my mission or purpose was, that I thought was for me. And you just mentioned that this is your purpose, and you found it with a horrible thing that happened in your life. And I just want to kind of get this out to men. The purpose and a mission, in my opinion, is not ego driven. It's something that you can grab onto and you feel good. And you said it brings you joy. This podcast brings me joy. Sitting with other men and talking and going through the tough stuff and crying and, just going through it brings me joy. The suffer brings me joy. I never thought in my life that sitting with a man on the internet talking would bring me joy. And it does. It's more of my mission and purpose that I don't even have to grab onto. It's just something I want to get out there. And another thing I want to hit on, you were talking about, where you do your check-in, and you brought up emotion. How many of these men, when you talk to, don't know how to put words to their emotions?
95%. As a man, we're taught, don't cry, man up, at a young age. Me growing up, New York City in the 90s, like I said, with rap music, we're trying to be the toughest person you could possibly be, so when it comes to actually speaking about your emotions, like us guys, what do we know? Maybe 3 or 4 emotions.
Happy, sad, and mad.
Angry,
Most of the people. I think the average person knows about 5. It's a ridiculously small number.
So when we have these conversations, that's why it's always key. Like we teach like these healthy coping skills. So we do art classes where we'll ask, pick your favorite song, pick a song that brings up an emotion in you, and then we put it on a canvas, and we ask you, what about the song? What about the lyrics? Like describe it. We try to flip it in a way where you don't have to really say your words, you can use other people's words, but you attach an emotion to it, and it just brings it up, and there's so much just healing in it. The guys have really been drawn to what we're doing, and I like you said, I take pride of it in it, and it just gives me joy to see people growing and healing. Yeah.
So who do you have, like the art and the questions? Is that an idea that you got on your own, or did you get that idea from someone else? Like, how do you come up with that?
Yeah, I go to sleep with this, and I wake up with it every day.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's a lot. With the name, I was sitting, I want to say driving somewhere, radio off, just my mind is I'm not talking to myself, but talking to myself.
I get it, man. I get it. I get it. I go for long drives, and then and the radio stays off. It's just me and myself and I.
And I'm like, all right, I'm starting a bereavement group for guys. So bereavement guys, bereavement.
I mean, I like it.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, it came together. So when we're thinking of just ways of connecting the dots with the guys, yeah, it's just we're trying different things. We have an artist, Yobi, um, a guy that I met at a health fair. You know, he's like, oh, I do art, and I was checking out some of his stuff, and we formed a bond where he's been through stuff in his life, and you know we bounce ideas off of each other and just try to put some of this stuff to bring it to life, and things are just happening.
I love it, man. I love it.
Thank
Like
you.
the connections. It's fascinating what happens when you start putting energy one way, and then the more and it's almost like the universe wants to meet your effort,
Hmm.
and then it wants to see how far you're willing to go,
Hmm.
how much you want to push it. Like you know, if you just go a little bit farther, that there's probably another door you get to open, or you have another conversation with that guy. Like you've really found a purpose, and
Yeah.
and with that purpose, it's given you courage to just go and have these conversations and come up
Yeah.
with these ideas for men to connect with each other and to connect with themselves.
Yeah, I've come to a part of my life where I'm not scared anymore. I'm moving forward with things.
Hmm.
I'm trying to experience new things. I I recently was married last year,
Hmm.
and you know it was something that it was time for me to do. You know, to kind of start. We were dating for a while, but it was time. I was like, this is a woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. So like just getting out of my own way and not being scared of things. Um, I never saw myself being on a podcast talking about myself and things that I'm doing. But I'm not scared. Like people tell me, yo, like your vulnerability has turned into your strength now. You know, you being able to speak about the things you've been through, the things you're going through. It humanizes you. You have no one can say that you know that you're not a real human being. You know, like I'm putting myself out there, and what I'm finding out is people are going through the same thing I've been through. People are going through the same thing I'm going through. So like this is all of our stories. You know, like yeah,
Loss is the part of the human experience,
it
right?
is.
I
Yeah.
mean, we all grew up that, and we were told to be toughen up and suck it up and be a bigger man and all of that stuff. And then to find a way, find a different way, find the path that you can share. One of the things that I noticed too when I started being living in my truth, no one can take it away. Like you can't take away your that truth. Someone can make fun of the truth, someone can throw your truth under the bus, somebody can do a whole bunch, someone can do something with it, but they can't take it away.
Mhm,
And then they get to show you who they are. Now, if I'm
mhm.
fake, if I'm doing all of this fake stuff and I'm just looking for your approval, then I'm just going to continue to look for your approval. But when I live in my truth, the real approval, the real respect, and the real, I'm sure your wife right now respects you, and I'm sure so do your kids.
Yeah, yeah. They so life, like I said, being a man is not easy. Family life, yeah, it's ups and downs. Yes, I am the leader of this group. I am the face of Bro Bereavement, but life is it's not perfect. You know, I'm
Mhm.
a man just like everyone else. I'm trying my best, but sometimes I fall short. Um, the to be honest, the last month and a half, 2 months have been really rough, like family wise. My two kids are opposite. One is doing awesome right now, and then the other one is kind of stuck. I believe still dealing with grief
Mhm.
from the loss of his mother. Um we've kind of been at odds where I kind of had to separate myself from him a little bit. So that's been really tough. You know, that's my son. Um, love him to death, but you know, sometimes he's gonna have to grow kind of by himself. I'm here for him, but from a distance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, I am the head of this group, the leader, and sometimes she wants me to herself, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm moving with such passion, and you know, she doesn't get to see me some of the time because I'm out doing events on the weekend and this and that, and it's taking a little bit of a toll on our marriage right now, and you know, people reach out through social media, and you know, the attention for me has gone to bereavement, and
Yep.
yeah, it's hard trying to balance, you know, your passion with the love of your life. So yeah, so the last couple of weeks have been very tough, but you know, I'm not giving up on anyone in my family. I'm not giving up on bereavement. So it's just a, a way I need to balance things out. Yeah.
Growing pains.
Yeah. Yep. Hmm.
That's something I struggle with daily, sometimes multiple times in a day's balance. Getting pulled in so many different directions, and I think we need to talk about that as men, especially when we have a passion or a mission. Uh, Sometimes, speaking for myself, you know, I get that tunnel vision and hard into it, uh, and I forget about all the other things that are near and dear to me: family, my daughter, sometimes work, friends, you name it, even myself. I guess when the biggest part is when I leave myself. That's when the most hurt comes in because, of course, we can see it. And you brought up this thing with your son and your wife, and you know you're trying to find balance, and you're still trying to stay true to your mission. I get from you that if you know you lost this part of this mission, you wouldn't be who you are. So you're trying to, and I totally get this. It's like, where do I give myself? How do I give myself and still stay true to myself? How do you tell other men that, and how are you working through that?
Yeah. I the self care that I give myself is therapy. I try to see my therapist at least once a week, and she helps me through things. She points the finger back at me sometimes, you know, like, hey, like these are the choices that you've made. You know, everything is gonna be all right. Um, Sometimes you need to slow down a little bit. She gives me awesome advice, but I didn't see myself in this space just 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, growing pains. I'm going through them, and it's just a matter of finding that groove where everyone is getting what they need from me, and I'm getting what I need too. Because you know, the way we started this off is a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure that I put on myself, you know, just trying to be the best person I could possibly be. Um, and just sometimes I fall short, and not beating myself up is something that I'm learning, you know. Yeah.
Falling short is just an opportunity to find the lesson, right?
Hmm.
It's just an opportunity to find the lesson. Did I push too far this way? Did I pull too much
Hmm.
this way? And your wife's saying, "Hey, I want your attention, a little bit of your attention back because you're still important to me." Like that's all that's all that sounds like it is to me. And you're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, this is important to me and you're important to me and these things are important to me and this is my mission." And it's that sounds just like growing pains to me. And also, like, I'm sure there's attention, there's your busyness, there's, you know, don't leave me behind.
Yeah.
Don't leave me behind. You know, I've been next to people who have grown and grown and grown, and if you don't grow a little bit along with them, then you feel like you're getting a little bit lost in the distance and almost forgotten about, and there's some envy there. And I don't know if that's I'm not trying to put words or whatever in how that is, but I mean, I've experienced that myself, where it almost creates a distance, and you have to come back and meet each other part way, and it's just a pull and tug, and it's just to make sure. Then you work at it. It is work.
Yeah.
Any relationship is work, anyways. Any relationship is. You're gonna pull one way, she'll pull the other way, and then you find and it's all about the reconnection. All about the reconnection.
Definitely. Thank you for that, Steve. Yeah. Definitely. When I met her, my new wife now, when I was still grieving, you know, she played a major part in the healing process, you know, just showing me that there was a better side, you know, to life. You know, life is bigger than what you see right now. You know, she showed me happiness. She showed me, you know, what it feels like to be loved again. So you know, I'm taking what she's telling me, and I'm happy that she's able to open up to me and be able to you know, look for more. You know, you always want to be around people who want more from you. So I'm happy for that. And I'm gonna be all right. Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
You
guys are cool. This is like a therapy session for me too.
They always are.
They always are. They always are. It's, I mean, you can go through so many hard times. I love listening to other men be real. It's one of my most favoriteest things. It's the most favoriteest thing I get from this podcast is listening to another man share his heart and what's on his mind and how he feels. And you know, it doesn't make you any less of a man. In some ways, I think it makes you more of a man that you have the courage to stand up and talk about it and say, yes, this is how I feel. Yes, this is what I'm going to fucking do about it. Yes, this is what I'm going to try, and then go out and do it. Damn it.
Definitely.
I think
it's nothing like meeting authentic people. Like, it's just a feeling, you know, when someone is being real, and you know, when they're wearing their heart on their sleeve, like, yo, this is who I am. Like, it's automatic. You can tell.
It was something about, you were talking about, you know, the the activity then leads to the connection, and something we talk about a lot is the connection part. Like you just said, like within a few minutes you can tell if another man's being authentic or not, vulnerable, and it doesn't have to be him telling you about his emotions or any of that other stuff. It's just when you meet, and going back to where Steve was talking about your truth, you know, truth to yourself. I think when we are true to ourselves, other men can see that as glowing in us. And we can, you know, not get too crazy, but that vibe, we can feel that vibe going back and forth, and it automatically creates that connection. Sometimes we don't have to say anything. We can be in the same room with each other and look over, and you're just like, oh, I get this guy. Not even a word, right? And I think that's where I want to see more men go to, because, you know, growing up with the men around me, they were never emotional. They never told their feelings. It was, you know, I'm a man. The whole pulling myself up by my bootstraps, never show any that I did anything wrong, never admit to a failure. And we're all talking about, you know, without failure, we can't figure out what we did wrong. We can't grow without failure. And it's okay to fail. We're kind of hitting on that. And your last couple of weeks have been a struggle. And coming out the other side, you're going to have so much more. You're going to be so much better. Does it hurt? Does it suck when we're doing it? Yeah. Like last week was horrible for me. But this side I came out on, it's like, oh shit, I didn't take time for myself. I didn't think about myself. I was worrying about other people. We're really good at that. You know, you're talking about that pressure. Then it's like this week, did it suck? Yes. Did we have to have conversations? Yes. Was it about me and my feelings? Yes. Where I was at? Yes. But I got to share that. I got to share that space with someone and come from a different spot and like, oh, slow down, think about it. We don't do that as men often enough. I don't think we get into this world of men in our lives, you know, fathers, authoritation of, you know, employees, bosses, stuff like that. Then we put these mentors or people we aspire to be like on this pedestal, even though we really don't know anything about them. We just see what they're trying to give us, and it, I just want men to understand that we're all here. Speak up if you're suffering, and don't suffer in silence. If something's bothering you, don't be like me and let it sit forever till I get to the point where I break and
Yeah.
all of those emotions are going, and I can't rein them in because I have too many going on. It's something I'm learning is one day at a time, 1 minute. And, you know, through sobriety, that was really hard. But for me, this growth as a man and the truth is a lot more joy, but it's a lot more difficult for me without the tools and the people around that help me through this. I got to have them. We got to have men on our side.
I think one of the other cool things that happens at our classes, a lot of the guys are bringing their sons to the classes.
Hell yes.
You know,
I love this.
So the boys for the first time are seeing men talk about their emotions and their feelings and things that are going on. So, you know, I think back to when I was a kid, maybe in a barbershop, you'll hear like a serious conversation in between who's your favorite basketball team and rap music or whatever, you know, like these conversations are not happening or haven't happened enough where the kids can kind of see where, you know, like it exposes them to it's okay to not be okay all the time. It's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay, you know, to be able to express yourself, you know. It's okay. Like sometimes we hurt, you know, we're human beings, you know. So I think that's a cool thing that's happening at our classes, you know, just exposing these young men. What I'm seeing with the teenagers like in New York and New Jersey, it is a huge disconnect. So I'm trying my best just to get the word out, just to kind of get to some of these kids before you know that anger builds in them, or you know, like all of these things that we're teaching, these healthy coping skills are life lessons that every young man should learn, because you know, it just turns into problems if you don't learn to deal with it.
If we don't learn to deal, that's it right there. If we don't learn to deal with it, and I can't pull up any statistics right now, but I know there's, if you look up statistics about emotional intelligence and lower end scale emotional intelligence normally leads to getting in trouble with the law.
Mm-hmm.
Higher end, the more, even it doesn't even have to be high. It has to just be a willingness to try and learn the emotional intelligence, because it's a skill that we can all learn. But that is way lower on the scale of addiction, of in trouble with the law, that you're more connected with your friends and your family and the people around you. Like there's so much, it literally leads to longevity in life, because you're not carrying and holding the stress. You're not carrying this baggage around. I mean, you carried the baggage around for a decade. I know I carried a shit ton of baggage around too.
Yep.
What good did it do you?
Yo, I got so much trouble.
Right.
You got an angel.
Right.
Yeah.
What good does it do you packing all of that fucking emotion and all of the rocks and all of the garbage that instead of facing and picking up and putting in the right place, we just threw it back there and thought, you know what? If I don't have to fucking deal with it. Maybe it'll go away. And then it comes back and slaps you in the face a whole bunch of times, but you don't care when you smell like rotten fish. It's fine. I'll just put it in the backpack. I'll go have a shower. It doesn't.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was me. I avoided conflict. I avoided pain. I avoided all of the important shit to try and be a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was what was going to get me respect. No, I feared that word. No wasn't a bad word. No was just a boundary. It was me showing my self-respect for the first time. Crying was me showing my self-respect for the first time. Telling my truth was me showing my self-respect for the first time. And it's incredible what happens when that, I mean, look, you're an example of it. And I love that you're giving that back to other men. Robbie, before we wrap this up, you got anything else for Daniel? Daniel, do you have anything else? You can tell us where to find all of the things that you're doing, but Robbie first.
I just want to tell Daniel how much I appreciate him and what he's doing. And, I love you, man, because you're putting in some work. I feel it.
And
I just feel it. I can feel it on this other side of the screen. And, what you're doing is changing lives one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And, we need to keep doing this. If we can change one life, it may change another one, which may change another one, right? If we can get this to start going the other direction where men can show their emotions, talk about their feelings, no, failure is okay. No, we're going to be okay. We need the tide to shift and come back and be masculine men again and show that it's okay. Masculinity is, now toxic and but without men being men and supporting other men, we're continued to really just fall off this earth. It'll be to the point where we all just walk around in our own little head and we're miserable. So
yeah,
thank you. I appreciate the work you're doing.
Yeah, what you're showing is when another man trips, you don't keep running, you stop. You pick them up, and we run together again.
That is the definition of being a man in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to help, being able to pick up your brother or your sister, just being able to help. It's a little nutty to kind of look out into the world and it's not how they see it now, but
Mm-hmm.
the way I was raised, by my parents and my dad, you help your brother, so I'm doing my best. I found my lane where I'm going to continue to push forward and help and just build a community of men and boys, just healing
Mm-hmm.
through all of these events that we're doing. And I respect you guys for doing what you do. Forged in Silence. This was a great experience. I didn't know I was gonna get this out of, but I got the goosebumps and I was choked up a little bit, but I appreciate you guys for spreading the word and bringing me to your community. Thank you. You can find everything that we do on the social media stuff. Bereavement. It's like bereavement, but bro in front of it. We're on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook, so you guys can follow us there. We have a website, bereavement.org. You guys can always reach out to me. We're always looking to spread. The vision I see for this is for it to be a national organization. Why not? I think, like you said, everyone goes through these experiences. So we need to have a space. So if anyone wants to reach out, I have no problem connecting, and maybe we could do something in your city coming up soon. That's how I met Justin. I reached out and was like, "Where are you at?" He was like, "Oh, I'm in DC." I was like, "Oh, let's do an event." So this,
Amazing.
yeah, I love making connections like this. You know, like being able
Amazing.
to build. You know, on every plane. You know, it's healing for me, and I just want to give it to the world. Yep.
That's I love the mission. I love the vision. If you can send us an email with all of your information,
I
please
will.
do. And we'll get that posted on the episode and all of the places. Uh, it was a pleasure, Daniel,
Yes.
to sit down and talk and meet you. Keep up the fucking amazing work. That's all I have to say. Keep it
Can I
up.
say
And
can I say one more thing?
yeah,
Guys, grief doesn't take a holiday off. So please take care of yourselves. Take the time for yourselves. Have an exit plan if you see yourself going into a place where you know you're going to be triggered. Have that exit plan. Like, just try to plan ahead. And you know the holidays are here, and it's a lot of heavy stuff going on. So take that time for yourself.
taking care of ourselves is probably one of the most important things, and it's so underrated because we feel like we need to take care of everyone else before we take care of ourselves, and then we have nothing left in the tank to take care of ourselves, and we have to wake up and do it all over again. And that's how I'm going to end this episode. Is it happens the other way around, and I had to learn this lesson really, really fucking hard way. When I started taking care of myself, I had the energy to take care of everyone else,
Mhm.
and I stopped feeling like shit, and I started feeling like a contributing member of my family, my friends, and all of the other things. This doesn't happen without me taking care of myself first. It seems stupid, and it seems selfish, and it seems kind of ridiculous. Self-care. It's the birthplace of all the good things. Thank you guys. You men out there, you need to talk. He's available. I'm available. Robbie's available. Reach out. We'll see you guys on the next episode.